Welcome back to Quick Resume, episode 3, everybody. My name is Deck, and I'm joined by my handsome co-host today, Tim. How are we today?
I'm good. I mean, I'll just have to take your word for it that I'm handsome. They can't see me, but
That's true.
at least
We
in
have
my
our technology
animated
isn't there yet.
avatar, we're
Yeah,
uh, we're pretty handsome. But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. As
great.
always, it's a Friday, and pretty excited to do this episode. So I
It's
can't
it's a,
complain.
it's the time of the week to resume to our regular Xbox scheduling.
To quickly resume.
I
Yeah,
tried to plug it in the first 20 seconds.
yeah.
To poor effect. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, which you probably are, because I know by the statistics that nobody's watching on or listening on Spotify. So if you are, I'm hoping to have a snazzy new effect on YouTube. So it should be a nice little bouncy effect that's going up and down with my voice. If it's not there, then something went fucking wrong and I couldn't figure it out. If it is there, then you definitely should hit like, because that means I figured it out. So I just wanted to put my neck on the line there to sort of make sure that it's all in place for the YouTube video, hopefully. So there's a few
Okay.
bits and bobs I want to go over this week. It's been a pretty eventful week, to be honest. It's just the cadence of kind of the news from the Xbox side has been pretty consistent and pretty good, to be honest. But I think, like we did with the last week, I wanted to ask if there's anything you've been playing this week, Tim. I mean, I know you've been playing a few bits and bobs, but I wanted to hear a bit about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, as always, the Apex Legends grind is continuous
Mm.
on a day-to-day basis at the moment. But apart from that, with all the Bethesda stuff sort of happening recently and it going through and everything coming to Games Pass and everything, I have been playing The Evil Within again. So that's it's been very interesting.
You're gonna have to
Um,
walk me through what is the evil within for like explain it like I'm
it's
four
It's
or
well,
five.
I can't really explain the plot. One, the plot is just really weird
Well,
and
what's the
very out
premise?
there. Well, I mean, I'm sure you know it's like a survival horror game.
I know
Um,
literally nothing about it. I really don't know anything about it.
yeah, so it's like a survival horror game. Quite slow paced. Um,
Is it third
think
person?
like, yeah, yes, yeah, it's third person, yeah. And the shooting is sort of like the over the shoulder. Like I don't know if you've seen the most recent Resident Evil remakes and
Hmm.
Resident Evil
I have.
4 and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a very similar sort of camera angle to that.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, so it's and obviously it's taken quite a lot of direction from that because I think that I don't know the guy's name, but the guy who like directed or had a large hand in the first Resident Evil did help develop the Evil Within as well. So it definitely does take elements from that. And it's like puzzle solving, and it's very, use your environment to kill your enemies and stuff like that. It's quite cool like that. Um, but yeah,
Hmm.
so yeah, I've been diving back into that because I did play some of it but didn't complete it a while back. And
Are you
yeah, it's really
enjoying it?
good. Yeah, it's really good. I have to admit, I mean, I think I said this to you earlier in the week as well. It definitely does not feel like a 2014 game, which I think is
Age
when it
well.
came out. Yeah. I don't know if it's just because of this grainy effect they went for with the graphics, and there's motion blur and stuff like that. It's not crazy. It's not like sickly motion blur, but I think all that sort of stuff kind of helps the game age quite well. It doesn't look
Mm.
that bad because you're not like overly focusing on textures like up close and really zooming in on stuff. And it just has a really good atmosphere, the game. Like it
Mm.
builds atmosphere very well with lighting, and just all the areas you walk through are always very tight and claustrophobic
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And yeah, it definitely, when I looked at it and I was like, 2014, I was like, I didn't think it was that old.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's definitely one of my it's definitely quite an underrated title from
It's one of
Bethesda.
those ones that makes you feel old, doesn't it, when you play it?
Oh
I
yeah, for
mean, we
sure.
we say that as young whippersnappers at 26, but
Yeah,
like it doesn't matter. Like that's 7 years ago, and that's crazy. Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's bonkers. And I'm glad
It's
I'm glad you brought a lot of that up because I've got a lot of thoughts about some of that as well. Like some of the stuff aging quite well or not well, and especially
mm.
with some of these Bethesda games, which we'll get around to. So like, what's your like now that you're playing it? Um, I don't know. I guess you're playing it. again, but like what's kind of your like score at the moment? Like, what would you give the Evil Within playing it?
Um, Playing it right now, I'd probably give it like a 7.5, maybe approaching an 8. Because I do like to play it in an atmosphere that's good as well. Like I shut the blinds and become like a proper gremlin and sit in a dark room and play it.
Yeah,
And I think all that sort of stuff does enhance how the game's played as well.
yeah.
But yeah, I'd give it a good 7.5, 8 out of 10. And it's quite interesting as well because I heard that the sequel, which I've never played, pretty much just did everything better from the original. And it was quite highly rated, I think. I don't know the review scores it got off the top of my head, but I think it was quite highly rated.
Mm.
And people basically just said it was just an improvement overall on the original.
For some reason, I have it in my head that Evil Within 2 is one of those ones that was critically received better. No, I don't. Do you know what? I don't know. In my head, people like didn't think the second one caught the essence of what the first one was going for, but I feel like I've got that in my head. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it was like received better critically or maybe it just didn't do as well commercially. I don't know. I've got it in my head that on some metric it didn't do as well as the first. I don't know what metric that one was.
I think it did. Just in pretty much every premise, it did do.
Yeah, you think it was just a straight improvement?
It did do better, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, the first one was slated because its story was a bit. I don't know. The story didn't really make sense. It's very it's very hard to follow and very disjointed. But yeah, I don't know. It's good. I'm enjoying it. And I'm quite excited to play the sequel when it does finally come over onto Games Pass, which I'm not really sure when, but yeah, no, and I'll probably be playing some more Evil Within tonight as well. So, but yeah, that and Apex is sort of. I've been wanting to dive back into Prey as well, but I haven't had a chance. I kind of went for the Evil Within, which is weird because it's not even one of the ones which we'll get onto that actually got the FPS boost, but. I just got drawn to it. I don't know. I was just like, I kind of want to play that again. It's been a while since I played a horror game. I enjoy a horror game.
In the mood for a spook.
Yeah, I do enjoy a horror game. So, but yeah, that's been me.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean there's a couple of things there. I mean, like obviously that's a nice way to sort of segue into obviously this week at the beginning of this week. This is old news by the time you're hearing this podcast, but we had the frame rate boost announced for a bunch of titles, a bunch of Bethesda titles. We had Fallout 4, we had Fallout 76. And its newest update, Steel Dawn. We had Skyrim, we had Prey, and we had Dishonored Definitive Edition, which is obviously why Tim there was saying that he's gone back to play Evil Within, which is one of the few titles which wasn't. It's like seemingly one of the few franchises, at least, which hasn't received the boost that wasn't already 60. So, yeah, it is a shame. And like you said, the second one that isn't quite yet on Games Pass, but I'm dead sure it will be. We spoke about this a bit last week, and I don't know if the second one even runs at 60 or not. But if it doesn't, hopefully that swings in with a frame rate boost as well.
I would have thought it probably would, to be honest, because it's one of the newer ones, and I feel like the FPS boost they gave for like Fallout and then Fallout 76, I feel like they've generally gone for like the more newer titles. I mean, what was the other one? It is Skyrim, and obviously they were always going to do Skyrim, but Prey is one of
the oldest there.
Yeah, and Prey is another like sort of new title. So they've taken all the sort of latest installments in their sort of franchises and stuff like that and given them an FPS boost. So I'd like to think that Evil Within 2 probably would come with one. I don't think it was 60 on launch. Nothing back then was.
No, I can't imagine it would for a horror game as well. Like they're always going to choose like resolution and like atmosphere, aren't they? Like better texture and shit. So yeah, it doesn't make sense really.
Yeah.
Flying around like 60 frames trying to fucking no scope everybody. I wouldn't be choosing 60 FPS if I had to and I was a developer. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's all really, really cool. It's I mean, coming off the back of that, I've obviously been playing a lot of Fallout 4 this week. We've been playing Apex together, bashing our heads against a wall against diamonds. and
Hmm.
making very small progress, sort of climbing up that ladder. But other than that, I've been playing Fallout 4 because I've never really played a Fallout game. I know I tried New Vegas back in the day, and that was like the first time that I ever really dipped my toes into a Fallout game. And I just couldn't get into it. Like I played the first hour, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if that was just me being a little COD boy at the time, a little COD boy, fuck boy, and being used to like the smoothness of that franchise. So then going to like a first. When did New Vegas even come out? Did that come out after Skyrim? I want to say it was like
It was no.
before Skyrim,
Yeah, it was
before
before
2011.
Skyrim. Yeah, pretty sure
Um,
it's like 2008 maybe.
What's it
New
called?
Vegas is a pretty old
2010.
game.
So it was like a full
2010.
year, for a full 1 year. So, and I played it after the fact. So I did play it a couple of years late. But yeah, I just couldn't get into it for some reason. I guess it was because I've always had this real problem with shooters. Competitive shooters don't have this problem because they generally make them very, very clean and easy to use and fun to use. But like RPGs that are shooters or whatever tend to be a bit clunkier, and you can feel it immediately. And New Vegas was one of those things that you pick up the controller and you're like, it's horrible. It feels like you're aiming with a broken bottle, and your dude's a robot, like glitching from left to right. It just really didn't feel nice.
Mm.
But this is why I think I was quite excited to see Fallout 4 come with a frame rate boost, because I know as well that Bethesda sort of did a big step up on a lot of their first person, like between Fallout 3 and 4, I've heard anyway, there was a big step up in like their engine, and they got a lot of the guys from id over to like clean up, from id Tech, the other developer at Bethesda, to clean up a lot of the shooting mechanics in their like mainline games. That's why Prey feels a bit clunky, but it feels better than like the older Bethesda titles, and Fallout
Yeah.
4 feels pretty good, and it feels very good actually, to be honest, at 60. It's one of those things with shooters, I really struggle to pick them up at 30 nowadays, especially if they're not already feeling really, really like top tier smooth. Imagine if Doom 2016 played at 30 FPS. It was just
Yeah.
peeling
Yeah.
my skin off.
It's kind of like mandatory for just especially the FPS genre just to be 60 these days. Like you
Exactly.
said, like a horror developer might choose to go with 30 and super great textures and graphics and stuff like that over the frame rate. But yeah, for first person shooters, I feel like 60 is just standard. You know.
Yeah, it does really need to be, and I'm glad we're getting to that point. We seem to be getting to that point anyway, where we're finally getting consoles powerful enough to like just out of the gate be delivering at 60, like we'll Doom with an example. But to be fair, I know the first Doom was in 2016, and that would have been on. They managed to do it on base Xbox One and PlayStation 4, which is an absolute miracle. I don't know how they managed to do that, but they did. But we are moving in that direction. So it's I mean, hopefully that is becoming more and more of the standard. But it's making a huge difference to the way I'm playing Fallout 4 for sure. And this is the other thing as well. A lot of RPG. I think I was saying this the other day. A lot of RPG first person shooters. Bethesda has like a monopoly on that space. Nobody else does them. Because
Yeah.
like when I was watching like the history of a lot of it the other week, and they were having the talk about bringing shooters to, and like Morrowind and everything, to like console, and they were like, nobody's going to play this because obviously like the history of shooters used to be on PC, and I don't know what it is about Bethesda, but they always have really tight field of views, and that makes it so much harder. I feel like, especially if you're used to competitive games where like you want to whip that bad boy, up to 100 straight out, so your eyes
Mm,
are on like your temples by your ears,
mm.
and you can actually see like 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Um, and so, and Fallout 4 does have this problem. The settings are pretty bad in Fallout 4, to be honest. They are quite, like, we've moved. It's funny seeing Fallout 4 compared to like the settings you get with a lot of games nowadays, especially single player games. You have like loads of settings, like field of view options, like loads of various like sensitivity options. Fallout 4 is just like a couple of things here and there. So the field of view has been a bit of a pain, but playing at 60 more than makes up for it, and the gunplay feels pretty good. It's really nice to play, to be honest. And I'm having a great time. Given that it's my first, like I said, my first time that I've actually managed to get into a Fallout game. I can see why the series has the appeal it does. And I was looking into this the other day, and Fallout has Fallout. I can't, what was it? There's like, again, there's like some metric that Fallout 4 is more popular in than the Elder Scrolls, and I don't know if it's overall sales. I don't know if it's like critical popularity. I don't know what it is. Money made from the franchise. I don't know.
Mm.
But they're, which has just really surprised me because in my head, and maybe it's just like how old we are and like how we were at the time when Skyrim came out. That's just like I think of that in my head as like one of the biggest game launches ever. And
Yeah,
Fallout 3 was just before Skyrim, I think.
yeah. Well, it was no, it would have been. It was before New Vegas, so it would have been probably a
Oh
couple
yeah, that's of
years,
course.
maybe a few years before Skyrim.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe that was the 2008 title I was thinking of.
Yeah, yeah. Fallout 3 is 2008. So that
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense. So it's just kind of this thing of, and also I didn't Fallout because you know that kind of thing happens with games where sometimes like no matter if a game is really good, if there's like one little if there's something wrong, gamers will tell you about it. They'll scream about it and they won't stop. They'll screech and they'll screech and they won't stop. Because in my head, I was like Fallout 4 as like a bad rep, right? And I think everybody, anybody who's this invested in gaming news to be watching this podcast is probably also feels the same, whether you've played it or not. Like, but like before I started playing, I had a look and it's on like an 87 on Metacritic or something.
yeah,
And it's only because it has like a bit of bad baggage attached to it in terms of like probably a bit of a buggy launch. The whole thing that we spoke about in the first episode about the legal issues with the Creation Club for the modding,
yeah,
and like there was a bit I know in the reviews there was like a bit of criticism, like legit criticism around the game having like a fully voiced protagonist, and therefore it was a bit the dialogue options were a bit more restricted. But
yeah.
I've got to
That
say I'm
was the
having a
main.
blast. Yeah, like
That
I'm
that
having a
that
blast.
was the main complaint from well myself and everyone else that I know that played Fallout 4 as well was yeah it was just the limited dialogue options compared to what you previously had,
Mm,
and then it's just also I feel like they just crammed a bit too much of the settlement stuff down your throat. Like I don't really want to build a settlement. I kind of just want to
either
roam.
either bother
Like
with it.
yeah, but you'll see it
Nothing's
kind of comes back.
nothing.
But
Well, maybe nothing's forced me to go and do anything with it.
mm,
I think I went and built a bench because I wanted to put a load of
yeah,
duct tape in there to save it for later.
yeah, that's basically
That's
it.
literally it. But like I haven't bothered yet. I don't really care about that. I'm sure some people will do, but
Yeah,
yeah. Um, but it's yeah, it's been good. And to be honest, like in terms of like the branching dialogue stuff, I don't know. I've always been a bit of a weird place for that because I guess there are some times where there's been like dialogue options and I've been like I don't feel like that was like I would have gotten that answer no matter which option I chose. But then there are times where I don't feel like that is the case, and I have gotten a genuinely different response because some of the answers that are provided are so different. Um, I don't know. I guess at the point I'm at, the pro of having a voice for protagonist, I feel like is quite good. I don't really like silent protagonists, to be honest.
yeah,
I don't know if there's a crowd out there. I feel like it's quite archaic. Like we're past the days of silent Master Chief and things like that. Like nobody really does that anymore. Like even Halo, like Master Chief speaks now. I know he spoke before, but like he actually has a personality.
mm,
And I guess what's the other one? Like Doomslayer, I guess is maybe quiet. He grunts every now and then, but even he's got a bit of. I don't know. I feel like it's a bit of an old thing that we've kind of moved past, like the silent protagonist. I don't know. What do you think?
yeah, yeah. No, I agree, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why you don't mind Fallout 4. And
I
I
guess
mean,
Skyrim, like
not to
Dovahkiin.
say that Fallout 4 is a bad game. Fallout 4 is a great game, but like you don't mind it, and you don't agree with the critiques as much as you should. And I think that's because that you didn't really play the Fallout 3 in New Vegas too much,
No.
which is where they had the silent protagonist, did all that. And I think because you didn't play those games to death and really enjoy them, which I did. I think you don't quite have that same bond to it, so you just see it as this new like, hey, I don't mind that the character has a voice and has less dialogue options and stuff because it's kind of all you've experienced from the genre
Mm.
in that way. But yeah, it doesn't annoy me that much, to be honest. I wasn't playing Fallout 4 and just like, man, I wish I had five more options to choose here.
Yeah.
It was fine. I didn't really have an issue with it.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed Fallout 4. At no point was I just like, oh man, this is, substantially worse than 3 or New Vegas or anything like that.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not a die-hard fan and I don't follow those games quite that much. I mean, I did Fallout New Vegas once and Fallout 3 a few times, but like, yeah, I wouldn't call myself a die-hard fan, so maybe it didn't quite hit me the way it hit others. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess some other ones, like just the top of my head, like to build on the back of what you're saying, because like there have been, now that I think about it, like I've got like, obviously, yeah, like I said, Skyrim, like Dovahkiin, silent protagonist, and the other one is that I can think of, as much as it is kind of it's not Fallout clone, but it's heavily inspired by it, is the Outer Worlds. He was silent, wasn't he?
yeah,
And that was very much like I think a lot of the praise that game got was for like good branching dialogue and the dialogue was really good, but don't get me wrong, I always feel a bit empty. I feel like a bit of a shell when I'm playing someone who doesn't speak. Like, yeah, the text is there and I can read it and that's great, haha, that's funny, and I click it, but it just feels a bit, I don't know. I mean, I wonder if there's a way, because it must be absolutely maddening to go through all these dialogue options and have to record all of them, but I feel like sometimes having the voice protagonist is more than enough for me to like outweigh the costs of having like really, really wildly branching dialogue, I guess if it's more focused, I don't know, I guess, but it's...
I agree. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think most of the dialogue options that are presented to you, people would naturally not choose half of them anyway. Most people actually go down the most common few choices, regardless, which you probably find are still in Fallout 4 and those sort of games.
Yeah.
It's only if you just wanted to be that extra bit spicy and climb into bed with somebody, maybe that's not quite there for you. But it's
it's sick though. Yeah, I'm having a really good time. And also, like you said, with Evil Within, you didn't realize that's 2014. Fallout 5 was 2015, which really surprised me. In my head, I thought it was like 2018.
But yeah, Fallout
5.
Oh, sorry,
yeah, Fallout 4.
Spoilers.
No. Yeah, I don't know. That made me feel old because I was like, yeah, I really didn't feel like it was that old, and it does. I think some of the parts of the game haven't aged well. Like the textures, like Bethesda have always been a bit behind on like animations and textures. So as excited as I am for Bethesda to join Xbox, they're not a perfect. They don't create perfect games. They do have hitches every now and then. But I think this is part of what everyone's got them excited about it, isn't it? It's that all of these hitches and bugs and maybe aged things like textures and animations that they usually come with can be ironed out a bit now because they have a bit more time. They've got a bit more of a safety net with the backing of Xbox. So I think a lot of people find that exciting. But yes, in terms of Fallout 4, it's gunplay's aged pretty well. The game, I feel like now that I'm into it, it feels absolutely fine. It feels great. But some of the textures, like when I am being a total twat and I'm going up to a wall to look at how good the textures are or how bad they are, some of it is quite poor, and it's fine because you don't notice most of the time. But there are every now and again something will catch your eye, and it can be a bit immersion breaking because you're like, I can count pixels here. But there was this weird thing, sort of, I guess, tying it back into the frame rate boost for Fallout 4 and for Fallout 76. They had to make a compromise on, like, when you've got the frame rate boost activated, it drops the resolution a bit on those two games. It's only on those two games. On Skyrim, Prey, and Dishonored, that doesn't happen. Usually, they're running at 4K because they're being upscaled by the hardware, but it drops it down to 1080. And it does look softer. I think after you're used to playing in 4K on every game, things do look softer. But it's not a game breaker, and I'm like absolutely going to be choosing 60 frames over that every time because in motion it looks twice as good. But it's just a bit of a funny compromise, and like people are doing this. I think that this was on the notes somewhere, but it's people have been doing this thing where they've been, because they say to turn the frame rate boost on, close the game, go into manage games and apps, turn it on, and then reopen the game. But if you turn it on mid game, this weird like middle, like this weird limbo kind of occurs where like purgatory, where the game runs higher than 30, so it's almost like it's unlocked. It's of course it's not, 'cause that's not how the tech is doing it. But it maintains 4K, so the game will still hitch and fluctuate, but it's higher. It's somewhere between, I think Digital Foundry did a breakdown of this, but it's between like 45 and 55 frames. So really weird how that works, but it's
That is weird.
yeah, but it's odd that these are some games that they're they have to make the compromise for, and I'm wondering if we'll see any more like that in the future. But nonetheless, choice is choice, and that's always going to win out. But just one of those weird things. But yeah,
Yeah. No, yeah, that is really weird. I didn't know that was a thing. It definitely sounds interesting.
because there is at one point when I heard about it, I was like, oh, maybe I don't want that. Like maybe I want to play the game in 4K, especially because it looks so dated. So I turned it off, like booted back up. I felt sick. I felt sick.
God.
It's just that thing, isn't it? Like if you're playing for 30 frames for long enough, like if you've sat down and you've played it for half an hour and you've got past that, you're like, okay, this is fine. But like when you initially go from like a 60 frames game to a 30 game, it just feels like you're in like a PowerPoint presentation, doesn't it? It's horrible.
Oh yeah, it's so weird. It's yeah. I mean, I've been playing The Evil Within, and obviously, yeah, that's not 60. And then I play that, and then you ping me an invite, and we start playing Apex, and I'm just like, oh
my hair's been like blown back. Like
I'm literally just like, what
look
is
at
this?
all those frames.
Everything's so slippery and like just I don't know, it's crazy. But it's never been quite as jarring to me. Like I didn't boot up Evil Within, and I was just like, ugh, like I felt like physically sick.
Fucking hate
it. But 60 is glorious regardless.
I fucking hate it. Yeah. Well, that's fun. That's my experience with Fallout and frame rate boost so far. And I guess the other things I wanted to say is for Evil Within, I'm guessing your game is loading really fucking quick.
So quick, yeah. Which is one of the complaints it had when it was reviewed. Was the fact that it's a really tough game. Evil Within, and I'm playing at the hardest difficulty as well. Like it's a very, very tough game, and it auto saves. You've only got manual saves when you go to upgrade yourself. Sort of like you go to an area, sort of Dark Souls style, and then you sit down in a chair and it squeezes your brain, and that's how you upgrade your points.
Well, that's how I upgrade in real life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it's pretty realistic. Yeah. But yeah, so, and those are when you can do manual saves. Apart from that, the game is all auto-saved. So, and it was criticised for having really weird checkpoints. Like sometimes it would be like a checkpoint and a minute later a checkpoint. And then sometimes you didn't have a checkpoint for like 30 minutes and it was like a really tough part. And if you died, which was likely on the first go, yeah, you had to sit there for like 2 minutes of loading, load back in, do that 30-minute segment again. And then if you died, it was another 2 minutes. But now it's just like I feel like they added checkpoints. Maybe it's like a post-patch. I haven't had a checkpoint issue. Maybe it's something they patched in a while ago. Like even in the game's life cycle back in 2014, maybe they patched it in later into the release. But yeah, the load times are just instant. I die and I'm back. Like it's crazy. It's awesome and I love it. Yeah,
it's so cool. It's really really transformative, and it's like I say, yeah, it's the same thing with Prey. Even Dishonored had this problem as well, where like Prey's a pretty hard game as well, and for the sort of games that Bethesda makes and are really fucking good at, where they make these sort of sandboxes and they encourage you to go out and explore and like experiment and this sort of stuff. I always felt that this was a real mark against their games. Is that yeah, I can experiment if I want. If I want to sit for 5 minutes in a loading screen, if I want half my playtime to be staring at like a spinning Dragonborn, so I don't want to be doing that. So, a lot of people have been saying this about Prey as well. Prey's getting a lot of attention now, actually, which is really nice because a lot of people found that the combat was a bit clunky, and obviously the 60 frames really helps with that, like the smoothness of then the response and everything, but also because of the loading times. And they do that these hub areas with Prey, of course, don't they? And I found exactly the same thing with Fallout 4. Like it's absolutely crazy, like a fast travel is like it's 2 seconds, because it's still it's like Skyrim, isn't it? You know, you go to a house and instead of opening the doors and going in, you cut to a loading screen for a second. And in this case, it is literally it's somewhere between 1 and 2 seconds, and it's great. You die and you're straight back in. It's really awesome. It's sometimes you do like instinctively like put your controller down. You're like, oh fuck, I forgot.
Yeah, for sure. It's stuff you wouldn't notice, and like back when we were playing this stuff in 2014, like you wouldn't notice that sort of thing. You know, the load time was the load time, but now it's just like, it's so nice to have it, and it makes such a difference on your experience. Like regardless of the Evil Within not having a frame boost or an enhancement to resolution or anything like that, just that extra quick loading and stuff like that, it feels enhanced to me in a small way. I feel like I'm experiencing it on a platform that, you know, plays it better. It's crazy. It's cool.
It's very cool. Yeah, it's nice. It doesn't break your suspension or anything. It doesn't break your immersion, rather, is what I mean.
Which is important in a game like that.
Yeah, it is. It's so jarring when you have like long load times, especially on death. It is always something that irked me when, like, you know, the disincentive to die is having to sit bored on a load screen for a minute and a half.
And you don't take risks. It changes your gameplay as well.
Exactly.
Like, there are sometimes I'd just be like, oh, I'm going to kick over this explosive barrel and try and take out so many enemies at once. And I'm like, if I fuck off, I'm loading for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's just like, now I just give it a go. But before I would have just been like, I'm just going to sit back and shoot him in the head with a pistol.
Exactly.
It changes the way you play.
I had this exact thing earlier, actually, because I'm playing like sort of a bit of a character I wouldn't usually play in Fallout at the moment, you know, in terms of like the RPGs and like getting into your build and everything. And I'm just kind of like a really weak, scrawny, like non-charismatic, like I'm a fucking so meek, but I'm really good with loads of guns and I'm really smart at it. So I just shoot my way out of everything. And so like I went into one of the cities earlier in Fallout 4. Like this is like absolutely not usually how I play these sort of games. But because like you can afford to take risks because of the quick loading, this guy came up to me and it was like, oh, you know, you need to pay money before you can come into the city. And it's like, he's obviously trying to rob me blind. And then the sheriff comes up and he was like, don't rob newcomers, you know, I told you not to. And then he starts turning around and be like, okay, I won't do it anymore. Pulled out my magnum and just blew his head off. And like everyone in the town around me like reacted to that, you know, they were like, cool, you can stay. Like they kind of like reacted positively to it. And it's one of those things, it's like, I would never have done that because I wouldn't have known, like if I shoot at him, if the rest of the town would have turned on me, like I just wouldn't have known. And in which case I would have been like, I'm not going to sit through 3 minutes of loading just to do that.
Just to blow
I'd have just been like, take the money and leave me alone, you know.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than load. But it's great. Yeah, like you say, it really does. And it will be interesting to see, I think, as we move into like the gen, if these loading times will keep up with the more complex worlds. Because if we get to a point where like the worlds are more complex and then loading times are proportionally as long, then you kind of lose that element again. So it'll be interesting to see if they if that happens or not. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that is quite an interesting point.
Wicked. So that's all of us this week with Bethesda. Lots of stuff covered there. I was going to go into it a bit more, but I think we can afford to do that over maybe the next few podcasts, as we've gone into it quite deep there anyway.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to go over before we sort of get into the news mill for the week?
No, that's about it. I mean, that was a pretty long opening segment. This is basically the Bethesda podcast.
The Bethesda show.
What were you playing that was Bethesda this week? But yeah, no.
Hey, if Todd wants to sponsor the show, he can sponsor the show. That's fine.
Well, he did try. No, he did email me, but I just said, you know, maybe sort of episode 5 or 6 or something. If we're still playing your games, we probably won't be.
Yeah, we've got quite a lot of sponsors, actually. There's a lot of requests.
Yeah, and it's just the fact,
Sneak, for example.
Yeah, I would take Sneak over Toddy any day.
Over Toddy, yeah.
But yeah, fantastic. No, I'm happy to move on.
Cool. Well, I think as we... one of the bigger bits of news last week was we had repeatedly... Well, not actually... we did have it repeatedly teased. It was a tease of what everyone thought was Outriders coming to Games Pass. Now, at the time, and I know, we all know it's already happened. That's
fake
fine,
news.
Let me just explain. At the time, it was the Game Pass Xbox to it, having a fun time. Melissa McGame Pass at it again. And the email mentioned there's the two keywords. I can't remember the whole tweet off the top of my head, but the two keywords were signal and anomaly. And there were lots of speculations. People mentioned Stalker 2. Wouldn't really make sense though, because Stalker 2 doesn't even have a launch window. People mentioned Mass Effect. Again, doesn't really make sense because that's part of the EA Play, and there's a definitive edition coming out in the future anyway. Which I haven't played Mass Effect, but that's just going what other people said. And then of course the last one is Outriders, but that's a bit weird. Everybody thought that's a bit weird. So that's a AAA game from Square Enix. Square Enix hate Xbox, so there's no way that's happening. Next day rolls around, Outriders day one on Games Pass. Less than a month before launch.
Crazy. Freaking bonkers.
What sort of strings do you have to pull to make that happen?
I don't know.
I wonder if this was always the case and it just got delayed, or if Phil was literally, like, oh, fuck, this could actually be a pretty good one. And, just called them up, the People Can Fly team, and just got to.
I don't think it was something that was in place. I do feel like it was quite spontaneous.
Last minute.
Because why would they leave it so late to announce that? Because it's just like, I mean, we were so close to pre-ordering it, and so were probably so many other people. So like, you'd give more notice if this thing was coming to Games Pass. It just seems a bit weird to sort of, I don't know, do it so late when pre-orders might have already come in and stuff like that. I don't know.
People could cancel it.
That's true. Yeah.
But still, it's still like the inconvenience of it could have rubbed people the wrong way.
Yeah. I just feel like the way it happened, it did seem quite spontaneous. I don't know. Maybe Philly's spider senses were tingling.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this game actually might be pretty good. And I do think it will be pretty good. And like I said, we were quite close to pre-ordering it off our demo experience. Because it's the sort of game we love. We have a group of friends to
mutant friends
to play it with. So we do enjoy those titles. And yeah, when that came, I was just like, sick.
Sweet.
I was just playing Outriders, I guess. No commitment here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Do you know what? It makes me think. It makes me think that they did the demo, saw the metrics.
Oh yeah, the demo went mental. It had like fucking so many downloads.
Yeah,
so many players.
I don't know what it is. They must. I don't know. I reckon they must have. Maybe it's like the amount of people who viewed it versus the amount of people who played it, or something. Like if they're getting a lot of views, maybe that's an indication of like, oh right, look, how many people would be interested if the barrier to entry of like Games Pass was really low, versus the amount of people who played it. And a lot of people did play it. I think somebody had said earlier today that in terms of the traffic that Outriders generated over the Square Enix event, it was just as high as Forsaken, the Project Athia, and what was the other big event? The Life is Strange. It generated just as much, and this is a game that's been announced for a few years now, and everybody knows. So like that's it's generating quite a lot of buzz actually for what it is, considering that when people speak about it, usually it's mixed to good. People are like, oh, story looks shit. A lot of stuff looks kind of shit, but it was fun. Loot looks fun. The powers are fun. So it's kind of this funny. Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things that they must have looked at the stats somewhere and been like, actually, this game's probably going to score like 75, somewhere between 75 to 80, and that's a good range to be putting something in Games Pass.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and based on the like you said, the metrics of how many downloads the demo has, it's probably gonna get a lot of attention putting it on Games Pass, because you probably find almost all Xbox consumers do have Games Pass, and if a large portion of them did play this demo, they're going to download that and they're going to play it and they're going to sink time into it, and that's good for Games Pass, and it's good for People Can Fly who put it in, and Square Enix that put it in. So it's kind of like a no risk sort of scenario for both parties, I think, because like Philly's just like, it's a pretty good game. We're putting it in. It's gonna have a positive outlook on Games Pass, even more positive than Games Pass already is. And then Square Enix doesn't have to worry about people
making returns.
People taking that leap from the demo to a pre-order. Was the demo good enough to to get a pre-order out of people is probably a large portion of their worries, at least from the Xbox platform. Obviously, PlayStation and everything's completely separate. But like, and I think they were genuinely worried about that, because I don't think a lot of people did enjoy the demo that much. People wished the demo was a bit different or offered a bit more or didn't quite wet their whistle as much as they would have hoped.
Jesus, what is that expression?
Wet their whistle. It's my expression.
I love it. Yeah. I'm aroused.
And yeah, and I think they were just like, sweet. They were just kind of given a hall pass. And they were just like, let's just put it on Games Pass. We don't have to worry about all that crap.
Is there some point of like, why wouldn't you? Like, what are the reasons you wouldn't put something on Games Pass? I guess outside of being like a Titanic launch, like, for example, like the next Elder Scrolls, but that's going to be going to Games Pass. So let's say like, like a third-party AAA game. What's a big one that's coming up? I can't even think of any this year.
AAA, third party.
Yeah. I'm literally blanking on anything that's coming out this year.
Yeah,
I mean, there'll be a
fine.
COD, right? Let's say that, for example.
Yeah, just
that's always
say your point.
Yeah. So outside of that sort of breed of like, they're going to make more money than Game Pass could make them, than the check from Microsoft can make them, unless it's, unless they're trying to cut a very special deal. It's kind of, we scratch your back, you scratch ours kind of thing. Like, why don't you put your game on Games Pass?
Yeah, I mean,
I genuinely don't. I can't think of any reasons why, as a developer who's making anything below a AAA behemoth established franchise, you wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what they're thinking as well, which is why you're seeing stuff like this. And I think we're going to see that a lot more often as well. I don't think Outriders will be the one and only to do this.
Are you an insider? You've heard it
first.
You've heard it here first. Actually, I mean, you're not the only one saying it, to be fair. Some insiders have said that, so I'm on to you.
Yeah.
We're going to be
Don't help me, bro.
Yeah. We're going to start seeing more AAA games day and date on Games Pass, which is bonkers. I mean, it's already bonkers as it is, but getting stuff on launch day is a whole different story.
I was not expecting that.
Crazy. No.
Yeah, it was a very cool surprise, especially over the long Easter weekend. Boom.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I think
very nice.
It's one of those, especially with the new IPs. New IPs don't sell that well. Despite what a lot of people, I know a lot of people love new IPs, but they generally don't sell that well because most of the people in the market are not sure about it, really. So it's even better for one of those things like Games Pass. So go Outriders. Hopefully it does well, and I know we're both looking forward to it, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll be playing it. You'll definitely hear our views on it and what we think of it and the addition it brings to Games Pass. Yeah, for sure.
Without a doubt. Yeah, and I just want to touch on as well because I did mention in passing earlier, but Xbox does have a weird relationship with Square Enix, so it's weird that this happened at all. To be honest, like I think it's just because they're more aligned with PlayStation generally. Like for example, with Final Fantasy and now Project Athia, Forspoken. That's obviously like 2 years exclusive on PlayStation, so they are quite cozy with Sony on a lot of things. So. I don't know. I guess it's companies like money, so they'll go to whichever,
exactly.
They'll go to whichever publisher is suiting their needs more. And like I said, Outriders as a new IP suits that quite well. That hasn't quite been touched by Sony yet, unlike Forspoken. Fucking hell.
Yeah,
that's an awful name. It's such a bad name. I hate that name.
Forspoken. Yeah, it's not. It was not brilliant. It didn't really hit home when I saw it. I was just like, and the text was really weird that they chose as well. I was like, what does that say? I was like actually trying to read it. I was like, Forspoken. I think it says Forspoken.
Yeah. That's why I just pinged you a message saying foreskin.
I
couldn't tell what it said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to call it foreskin. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Anyway, that's that. So, some other bits and bobs. There is quite a lot of stuff that happened this week that wasn't really necessarily Xbox, but it definitely does draw a few interesting parallels to what Xbox have been up to. Not just this week, but sort of in the last few years, really, in their new strategy. Jade Raymond, who's a well-known developer for directing, involved in the inception of Assassin's Creed and involved in the inception of Watch Dogs, announced that she's founding a new studio, a new independent development studio called Haven. So they're gearing up at the moment. They're getting more developers in. On their day that they announced that is an official studio, they said, we're working on a new exclusive IP for PlayStation. So they're not a first-party team. PlayStation hasn't bought the team, but they've made a deal. They've said, here's a blank check. Go and make a good game. So they'll come back in however many years. I don't imagine we'll see it for a while with a new game. So, just a bit of... There were a few things, because like this week as well, we had announced that Sony bought... Did you see this? Sony bought Evo, the fighting... what do you even call it? Like the competitive fighting show.
Oh yes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. They bought that.
I don't know. Yeah, they just bought it, and it's really fucking funny because it's like they were just like, buy something, buy anything, buy it.
We need something.
We need to be in the news cycle. Yeah.
Oh man.
He's looking at his investors and he's like, he's like finance officers. He's like, they've just spent 7.5 billion. I want to spend, because it costs them a lot. Like I don't think the official figures are out yet, but it's it's coming into the high millions. So it was just a bit of a weird purchase, and then they obviously announced this as well. So I think there is quite a clear counterbalance here from PlayStation. They're announcing, here's a new studio we're working with, maybe on a second party basis, not first party but second party. Oh, we just bought a fighting studio show,
fighting game maybe.
Yeah. So I don't know what that's about. It's just a bit of a weird purchase. I know they've got Guilty Gear. That's like a fighting game that's got like a reasonable amount of excitement around it, hasn't it? And they
quite a bit, yeah.
They usually lock down Street Fighters nowadays, don't they, as well, on a timed basis?
Yeah, and I feel like I feel like just even at those shows and everything, PlayStation is always the console of choice, with all the tournaments being played on and stuff. So yeah, I just feel like maybe the PlayStation brand is definitely more fighting genre orientated than Xbox's brand, I think. Maybe they're just leaning more into that.
Yeah, maybe. But it's weird because Xbox has the better controller for it.
Yeah,
but that's what I've heard.
I mean, I guess so. I
don't know about the DualSense, the new one, but
yeah,
always been a bit.
That's true. Yeah.
At least coming into Xbox One, anyway. Of course, the 360 had a devilish D-pad.
It's great. What are you talking about?
No, it wasn't. No, it was not.
I know. I'm sorry. I set you off. I'm sorry. Yeah, the D-pad was trash.
For a second there, I thought you were serious.
No, the D-pad was hot garbage.
If you're like pushing on sponge, maybe.
It was like and it just didn't even it never registered the correct input, ever. Is that you want to go up? No, you're going diagonal. You want to go left? You're going right. It wasn't quite that bad, but...
Do you remember when they made the spinny D-pads towards the end? Those were cool.
The spinny D-pads?
Yeah, you'd twist them. They'd be flat, the shit flat one, and you twist them, and then it would pop up, and a proper D-pad would come out.
Oh, I do. I think I do remember those. Yeah, I think I had one.
Because the whole thing around that, wasn't it? It was because Nintendo had a patent on the traditional D-pad or something. So Sony and Microsoft had to come up with their own fucking weird D-pad.
Nice.
Anyway, so yeah, Sony bought Evo. There's a new studio directed by Jade Raymond who are working with Sony now. So
basically, we're seeing a fighting game in the next few years.
Yeah,
maybe. Sony. Basically, that's what it sounds like.
Excited to see what it is because she has always been involved in some interesting franchises. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, exciting.
Midweek.
Yes.
Midweek. What happened? What released?
The Outer Worlds expansion.
Excellent. Excellent
Yeah.
work.
Did I do it?
You did it.
I'm genuinely not. I wasn't even looking at the notes either. Round
Oh,
of
look at
applause.
you.
Round
Look
of
at you.
applause for me.
Round of applause for you. Be
Yeah.
sure to smash that like button for Tim.
Yeah. For me only. Tim Army.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah. So that released, which is pretty cool. So that released, midweek. How's it
17.
been doing? I haven't actually looked up how it's done.
No, neither have I actually. I think
So
what I've heard good things from like comments, but I haven't looked on like Metacritic or any
what's it called?
like reviewer.
Yes.
Murder on Eridanos.
Cool.
And alongside it came with a 60 frames update as well.
Lovely.
Game, which is obviously very nice.
Yeah, I came back and played the Outer Worlds not that long ago. Just dipped my toes in it, and
It's so good.
it made me sick playing it at 30.
Oh, right.
I don't know. I said earlier on in the episode that 30. I mean, I could play 30 and 60 and not feel violently ill, but I did for that one because it's a choppy game, like at the best of times, and it's not the prettiest game either. So when you combine that all into a 30 frames package, it was great.
I'm always confused about Outer Worlds because when people speak about Outer Worlds, they say like, oh, it's like quite like a good looking game. I'm like, no, it looks awful. It looks not good. Like the textures are really dated. Like it's quite vibrant, if that's what you mean. Like it's quite a vibrant game. The color palette's very nice. And that doesn't take away from like the level design and the world design. That's all very, very nice. But like a lot of the like tech driving it feels quite dated. It feels like a teeny tiny engine that's running quite a big game. That's what it feels like.
So just to chime in, did you say it looks like it's on about 77? Yeah, high sevens, yeah.
Which is I think in line with
good.
The first one.
I think the first one did worse than that. The Paralon Gorgon. I think it was like mid-60s.
Did you just remember that straight at the top of your head?
Yes, I did.
You're cooking, mate.
I know, man.
How am I supposed to compete?
I'm loving it.
Yeah, I think Paralon Gorgon came in at sort of mid-70s.
Yeah, I'm just having a look while you talk. Yeah, it came in about mid-70s, 70s. Yeah, so relatively the same, maybe a few points higher. So
yeah,
great. And
so,
60 frames,
nice.
Awesome. Very nice update for the Outer Worlds.
Yeah, can't complain. It was a really good game. It's one of those games that's had a bit of a weird post-mortem in that a lot of people have decided they didn't like it in retrospect. Have you read this sort of sentiment? Yeah,
it came out of the gates quite hot, didn't it? And now it's kind of people just like, actually, it was. Yeah, it wasn't.
Well, everybody loved it. Like the first week it came out, everybody was like, "This is amazing. We haven't had a game like this in ages." Because it kind of is. It's like an old school Bethesda RPG.
It had a honeymoon phase, didn't it?
Yeah, right. And I'm just gonna say it.
Do it, man. Get more Tim Armies.
And this isn't personal. I'm just saying it, and it's probably
Everyone
only represents like a tiny amount of people. But I only ever saw the negative sentiment coming out after Obsidian got bought by Microsoft. Just saying. I'm just saying. That's what I saw. I don't. Okay. That's fine. I'm sure people did have.
So I'm just going to take this moment to remove myself from the podcast.
If a laser pointer starts shining on my forehead, you know what happened.
From now on.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some very valid criticisms there of the game, and I know I had some. The loot was quite limited. For example, I thought the environments were a little bit ugly as well, but that didn't change as the game went on. I got the impression that there was a portion of people who played it, loved it, and then like a month later were like, "Oh, actually, it wasn't all that good." And there are fair criticisms there, but it was just a bit of a weird turn because that game came out. I think that game came out just after they got acquired, or maybe just before. It was like in the same window, so it was like I did get a feeling there was like a few, like a tiny vocal minority that was like, "Oh, actually, everything Obsidian makes is shit." But it's I've put it out there. I've said it now.
Yeah, you said it. You can't think about it.
That's not you. That's not the game does have valid criticisms, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, for sure. Not a perfect game.
But
Far
I mean,
from it.
it's one of those things which is dead exciting for an Outer Worlds 2. Just a bigger budget on that game could be really, really awesome, because you could tell it was running on a budget. Like, you really could, and they did their best with it, but you could tell.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that game with a bigger budget is like you can do anything with it, really.
Yeah.
You can think up any storyline, create any new planets, any new what. You could literally is just do whatever you wanted. So it is quite exciting for the future, and I think it sold very well. So I think it's an IP that will probably get a sequel as well. So
absolutely, and do you know what? It's actually quite funny playing Fallout after having played Outer Worlds, like coming into the Fallout universe after playing Outer Worlds, because obviously, a lot of the people, well, some of the people at Obsidian now are some of the people who developed the original. I don't want to say Fallout 3. I want to say like Fallout 2 as well.
Yeah, I mean, Fallout 3 was the first of its genre that we know of it. It was like an old school PC game before that.
Yeah, it's like isometric.
Yeah, it's like point and click and stuff. Yeah.
Because there's obviously you've got, I can't remember what they call it in Outer Worlds. It's like bullet time, isn't it? Whereas in Fallout, it's VATS. It's yeah. So that's all very nice for the Outer Worlds. Go check it out if you haven't done so already. Although I will say, single player story DLCs aren't for me. I can't do it. I can never find the motivation to go back and play it. Like, once I've played the full package, I'm uninstalling. Like,
it's weird.
Unless the DLC gets, you do have those games every now and again where people will say, like, oh, the expansion is amazing, just as good as the base game or better. But like, that's so rarely the case. Most of the time, it's like a 5-hour dip back into it that's good, if a bit worse than the base game.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's just weird because like you said, you're done. You packed away the game, and then you're like, that was a good experience. And then like 5 months later, they bring out like a 4 or 5 hour campaign for you, and they're like, do this, and you're like, well, I don't really want to. I don't really want to go. I don't really want to go back to that just for that. It's weird. It feels disjointed because
it does.
You packed it away. You're done with it. You kind of forgot how that game works, how to even play it, and then it's just like, oh, do this. Like, I agree. I find it very tough to get stuck into those. I think the only games I sort of do go back for those sort of DLCs are like Dark Souls, and that's about it.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's good for like Game of the Year editions and things like that, for newcomers. But like, I wonder how well they. I mean, they probably do sell better. They probably do sell quite well when they release the Game of the Year edition. That's like half the price of the original game with all the DLCs bundled in. But it's like you say. It's hard. It's like, I can't really get my teeth back into the universe in that amount of time. And then it's like, even if I do, like, is this still
over before you know it as well?
Yeah, because I mean, but it's so like. It's so like homogenous. It like so many. They all do it differently, rather, is what I mean. So like, one game might be a separate expansion, which is like its own different game mode. One example I'm thinking of is Prey, which I to be fair, I've actually really wanted to go and play Moon Crash, but
amazingly reviewed.
Games Pass. Yeah, I'm waiting for Games Pass / I don't even know if that's frame rate boosted. I need to look that up. I don't think it is, because it is a standalone expansion. But back to my point, other games will do like story expansions, which is just like a follow-on from the story. And I'm like, to some degree, I'm like, well, if it's a follow-on from the story, but I've already completed the story, how important is it to the story? Like, you completed it in the base game. It's like, so they can't sell well, man. And this is something I feel is quite old and archaic as well. Like DLCs for single-player games, unless they are like really, really good and well received. Like, the only ones I can think of are The Witcher 3, for example. In the last like 10 years, maybe like Skyrim, a while back when it was normal back then. But you're seeing less and less games do it nowadays. Release like big expansions for single players, or at least if they are, they're taking more time between them and doing like huge sort of expansions. So
no, I agree. It seems very outdated. I'm not a huge fan of it either, personally.
I just can't find myself ever being able, even if it's a game that I really, really liked, I just can't find myself getting enough motivation to go back and do it.
Yeah.
That's
Ditto.
that. Best of luck, Outer Worlds. We'll see you for Outer Worlds 2. I'm excited for that. That'll be really good.
Yeah.
So, moving on. We had, would you believe it, more Games Pass games coming this month.
More?
We had more games. We had, obviously, Outriders. We've spoken about this. I'm going to save my favourite till last. There's some more.
Which I know what it is.
We've had some more of the Yakuza franchise. I think you can play like all of the Yakuza games now on Games Pass, which is mental. I don't know the franchise at all, but it's not
got a big
an
following.
Xbox. Yeah, but it's just that it's not an Xbox franchise, and it's not. So it's weird to see it there. We've got Narita Boy. We've got Empire of Sin. We've got Star Wars Squadrons. I think we did mention that a few weeks ago. Maybe.
Yeah, we did.
Maybe it's now only just. Maybe it's only now just hit.
Yeah.
We've got Octopath Traveler, which is a big surprise to a lot of people.
Cool.
We were talking about this.
I might give that a go, actually.
Yeah, I might give it a go as well, actually. Yeah, let's see. We've got Genesis Noir. Don't know what that is, but it looks very monochromatic. We've got Nier Automata coming to PC. It was already on Xbox Game Pass. Phenomenal.
Does that mean?
Go play it.
Yeah, so it's just So it's still on Xbox Game Pass, right?
Still on Xbox Game Pass. Yeah.
Cool.
That game is astounding. Did you know I really like the soundtrack in that game? You can't see him right now, but he's seething. So I won't stop talking about how good Nier Automata's soundtrack is.
Yeah, well, it's not as good as Devil May Cry 5 soundtrack, so...
Well, it's okay to be wrong sometimes. That's fine.
Say I'm right or I leave you on your own for the rest of the podcast.
I can't steer the ship alone. We've got Torchlight 3 as well going on PC. We've got Pillars of Eternity Deadfire. I tried Pillars of Eternity. Did I tell you this? I tried it.
Yes, you did tell me. Yeah.
Is that on I think it is on console as well, but this is just the announcement that I guess it's going to PC. I played the first Pillars of Eternity, which is obviously... Am I losing my mind? No, that's the same world that Obsidian are doing Avowed in. So Obsidian's Avowed, big Skyrim-like, it was based in the same universe of Pillars of Eternity, and I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to say what the name of the world is. I really can't remember. But I played it for probably like maybe 10 hours. And the world was really good, actually. It was really fucking cool. I really liked it, but the game, I couldn't get into it. It's that style of like old school, like isometric RPG. There's no hand holding. The combat is like real time, like move each person, then click on each person, then play, then pause. It's not for me. I really wanted to like it, but I just couldn't. But I know they're really well received. They're like, they're like cult classics in that genre. They're rated like above 90 on Metacritic, I think, the both of them. So that's Pillars of Eternity Deadfire on PC. And then Superland on PC. Play Superland as well. Tim, do you know what Superland is?
I do not know what Superland is.
I can see the reflection of the purple cube on your glasses.
What are you talking about?
That's funny.
I don't know what it is. I don't like Superland.
Supraland.
Supra, bro.
Okay, because the artwork makes it look really fucking stupid. But let me just... Firstly, it's reviewed really well.
Take too much of the podcast episode.
Fine. Let me just gush about Superland. I've probably played it for like 15, 20 hours now. And I'm not just playing it to get the achievements. I was, but then it turned out to actually be quite good. It's just like a big sandbox game. Like, it's literally like you're given nothing to start with, and you have to like do weird like jumps and shit to get coins, and then you get more tools. And then you get more stuff. So it's a bit like Metroidvania, I guess, as well. But it's just like really dumb, really simple. But there's just like, you're literally like an animate toy in a literal sandbox. There's like a big like child over the top of you. And you're just like, the game is literally just drops you in and is like, good luck. Like, just shrugs at you and just like tells you to get on with it. And so, the goal is to kind of just get your tools and just start getting around the place. It is surprisingly good. I'd say give it a go. It's a good podcast game. Like, if you've got something else to listen to, just fuck around in it. It is surprisingly good.
Yeah, cool. And then your favourite?
My favourite game, Undertale is coming to cloud, console, and PC. And I did say this to Tim and the rest of my friends actually earlier in the week. And I can't believe one of my friends said he's watched a whole playthrough of it, and that really hurts my heart.
Yeah, I mean,
That
just to clear I mean, I haven't played it, which I know is frowned upon in general,
it
but
is.
I specifically avoided all playthroughs because I knew at
Good lad.
some point I would play it, and it's not it's not that sort of game. I don't know. I'd never watch a playthrough of that game anyway. But yeah, I specifically avoided it because I heard, that this game it does stuff. So I
It
was
does
just
stuff.
like,
It
yeah.
does stuff, all right.
So I'm gonna probably experience that very soon for the very first time.
I
I'll try and
fucking
do
do,
that
dude.
actually. I'll
It's
try
so
and do
good.
that this week coming, so I can talk about my experience in the next episode or something. Can have a little segment
Oh,
on me
please.
and Undertale.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hold you to that
Um,
now.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, how long did you say it was? It would take me like,
It's probably only like 5 to 10 hours. I don't think. I
oh,
think you'd struggle to
I've got to do Evil
complete.
Within as well.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, you've committed
okay,
now, so
yeah, I'll
it's
do
too
it.
late
I'll
for
do
you.
it. I'll do it by next episode. That's
Time to
fine.
book in some holiday.
Yeah, I'm so bit no. Anyway, I'm not gonna talk about work. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it looks awesome, and it is awesome, and I definitely am gonna get around to playing that. Hopefully, I'll
Yeah.
talk about it next week.
Just if there's anyone out there who hasn't played it, and this goes to you as well, literally avoid it like the plague. Just boot it up and going dead blind. It's one of those games that could only work as a game. It was made by one dude. Um, the soundtrack is a classic,
Hmm.
and it's just fucking great, man. I don't know what else to say about it. It plays with your expectations of what a video game is, and that's what makes it so good.
Yeah.
Nier Automata is a bit like that as well. That game could only be good as a video game, and those are the best kind of games. So yeah, Undertale. Go play it. Tim's going to play it. He's made the promise now. He'll see us next
Hmm.
week with it completed and a full review, 500
Okay.
words or less,
Whoa.
plus minus 10%. You'll be marked against the criteria of the board
So I don't remember
of,
signing up to any of this. If this
of the
was in
board of
if this
nerds.
was said to me before, I wouldn't have done this. I would have dug this hole that I'm gonna die
Yeah,
in.
sorry, you're in
Alright,
now.
whatever.
I'll throw
I'll
you the
still
rope
play it.
afterwards.
I'm not doing it. That's crap.
Okay, so I just wanted to add as a bit of a sort of an addendum to that, that with those games, that makes 379 games total for Games Pass on console. Congratulations.
It's a huge number. I dreamt of the day we hit 379.
Send Phil a message. Just be like, you've done it. Stop
Yeah,
right there. You've got all
yeah.
that you'll need.
No
380
more,
is too much.
no
You know,
less. Yeah. It's overkill, Phil.
yeah. Overkill
Yeah,
Phil.
overkill, Phil.
Sounds like a good film. Next,
The
next
next Kill
Tarantino
Bill
film
will be
sorted. Then.
Kill Phil.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Overkill Phil. Yeah. So I just wanted to drop that. We can only stroke off Games Pass so much every week, but
Mm.
it's obviously just a huge number. It's getting a bit ridiculous. So
Yeah.
we're into the dribs and drabs part of the show, where we've just got dribs and drabs of news that happened throughout the week. So we'll just tackle them as they come. And if you've got anything to add, Tim, please do add them.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be good to sort of just roll through this because I'm running a bit thin on time. But yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
So first one, we've spoken about this before, not on the show, but Final Fantasy. Some insiders have stated that Xbox owners should not expect Final Fantasy VII remastered anytime soon, or maybe even ever on Xbox.
Which makes
so
me angry.
makes me angry as well.
That makes me very angry.
Yeah.
But, okay.
It's a bit of a bummer. I think I don't know if I've spoken about this before, but I've never played a Final Fantasy game, and I don't know what it is with Sony. Appear to be doing this thing where they do rolling yearly exclusivity rather than getting a game whole and partnering with them to be exclusive. They do 1 year, review it a bit later, and then decide if they want to do another year. Which frankly I find a bit annoying, but business going to be business. if that's how they're drawing people to their platform, clearly they must be some evidence that it's working.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating for me as someone who generally isn't. I'm not opposed to like Japanese games, I guess, but I'm just inexperienced in it. So when I see one that I'm like, oh, that looks fucking fun, it's quite rare, and especially with something like into Final Fantasy, where it's like you want to be part of like that community. I guess you want to be able to say like, oh yeah, I've played Final Fantasy, and I can't say that. And I thought when I saw Remaster get announced, and it's a timed exclusive, whatever, I'll play in a year's time. I was like, cool, I'll play that. So now it's like, oh, now it's 2 years exclusivity, and we don't actually know. Like we don't have a firm date. And like the insiders have said, it might not ever happen, which is a bit of a bummer to me because I would have liked to have tried that franchise, which is obviously one of the biggest names in gaming.
Yeah, no, it sucks. Yeah, because I really want to play it as well. I mean, I have a PlayStation, so I might just play it on that now with that news dropping an anvil on my head. Yeah, but I do quite like Final Fantasy. He's not a huge fan, but I mean, probably my favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy X. Which, by the way, I can totally lend you. I have the physical copy of that on the Switch. If you did want to have an entry point into
Switch?
Final Fantasy, yeah, Final Fantasy X's on the Switch.
What is it? What sort of game is the 10th one? Just like turn-based?
Yeah, turn-based. Yeah, turn-based full 3D,
like 3D.
RP.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's really good, man. I do think you'd love it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got some of the best. Some of the best characters I've experienced in gaming, storytelling wise, and yeah, no, it's really good. And yeah, I really wanted to play Final Fantasy VII, because I kind of missed the boat with that when I was younger. So I kind of wanted to play the remake, and it looks great. So yeah, that kind of sucks, but I'll just play it on my PlayStation. Yeah, it is annoying.
I've thought about it, but it's I don't know. It's one of those things that, like, if it came to Games Pass, fuck yeah, like I'd love that. That'd be so wicked. If it came to Xbox as like a Game of the Year edition for 30 quid, I'd also probably try that. But
yeah,
I don't know if I'd go to. I don't know if I like it. I find it hard to go to my PlayStation for a lot of things. Like I play it for like the big exclusives, which I guess this now is. But I don't know. I have thought about it a few times, but I'll just have to see how it goes, I guess. Yeah. So that's that. There has been, on the topic of other Japanese games, there has also been some teasers from the same insiders, Jez Corden from Windows Central, that potentially Persona might be coming to Xbox, and there's been a long rumor mill. The mill is huge; it's long, miles long. That Xbox is doing some sort of partnership with Sega. Have you heard about this whole thing with this? There's kind of been this jokey idea that Xbox is going to acquire Sega, but there's nothing concrete to it. But there does seem to be rumblings that they are in talks for something, and part of that seems to be being teased that Persona is making its way, whether it's the whole franchise or just one game, is making its way to Xbox.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Any experience with Persona at all?
No, Persona, not myself. I know the Dom is recently, my brother has been playing, Persona 5, I think it is, on his PlayStation, and he says he's absolutely in love with it. Like he was binging it so hard when he was here over lockdown. It was kind of scary. I felt like I had to put him on a drip and actually feed him. But yeah, no, I haven't had experience with them, but it did look like a really sweet game when I was watching him play it. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really seen much of it, but I mean the game, because I think they released Persona 5. Persona 5 is like the big one, and then they released Persona 5 Royale, which I think, or Royal, I think it's like the Game of the Year equivalent, I want to say, and that's got like a 95 on Metacritic.
Jesus.
That's like one of the highest rated games in the last 10 years. It's got a mental, and that was exclusive to play. And this is one of those weird things where like some of these like more like Japanese developers or publishers just skip Xbox for no real reason. A lot of them don't even have like Persona just skipped Xbox because they don't think there's an audience for this sort of game on Xbox, which is so bizarre. It's so bizarre. So Phil's been outspoken about speaking to these sort of Japanese developers and publishers. So like, can you put your game on our console? trust me, they'll sell. Hey, we've got Games Pass. Trust me, people will play it. We'll give you a fat check. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me if these, as long as there isn't any agreement in place between Atlas, the developers of Persona, and or Sega, I guess, and Sony, Phil's going to be there shoving a check down their throat. Like, let's get it on. Let's get it on Xbox.
Yeah.
Which is, I think
sure.
that's, with a game reviewed that highly, it's hard for me to turn away from that. That is quite ridiculous. And like you said, I've heard nothing but amazing things, so it's definitely something I would dip my toes in. Oh, fucking! I've got tacos in my throat there. Ooh.
Tacos.
Yeah, tacos. Sorry if we if there was a break there, everyone. We just had to go do something. We're back now, so we'll continue with the episode as planned. We had to eat tacos. It was an emergency. They were getting feisty. So we just left off talking about Persona and what's going on with that, and if the franchise is possibly coming to Xbox. The next thing that I wanted to touch on was just a bit of an industry drama, really. Activision Blizzard is facing a few layoffs. And I have to ask you, I don't know if you've read the note already, Tim, but if you were laid off, right, and you were given gift cards to the company you were laid off from, how would you feel about that?
I would be livid. I would actually probably just throw it back in their face. Is that what they did?
That's what they did.
That's what they
did.
Here
You go, buy some Hearthstone packs.
That's unreal. I would take that as such an insult. That's like me being fired from my company and just being allowed to have like the premium service on the app for like 3 months. Yeah. That's such a kick in the nuts, man. That's not okay.
Yeah, it's not okay.
Jesus. So what they laid off?
Wangled it.
They laid off over 50 people and just gave them gift cards and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know how they've wangled it. Because obviously here in the UK, if we get, I mean, there are some prerequisites. Like you have to have been working for the company for like, I think it's, I want to say a year, but the minimum by law, you have to get at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks. No, I think it's 2 weeks pay, absolute minimum. And I don't know how a gift card isn't pay. It's a fucking gift card.
Yeah,
you can't buy food with it.
Oh no! I'm sure that was additional. There's no way that would have been the redundancy pay or the severance pay or something like that. They would have got that, but they would have just thrown that on top, thinking it was a nice gesture. There's no way they were just like, you're gone, but you're only having a gift card. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't know the circumstance. Like maybe these people were working for less than a year. Like I don't know how it worked in other countries. I'm assuming it's but
oh yeah.
But yeah. If we just assume it probably was on the top, that's probably the safer bet to avoid exaggerating.
I would think it probably was just like on top, and they were just, I don't know, feeling like they could soften the blow with it maybe. But my God, I would.
I love it.
I would not take that well if that was me.
Go get yourself some Overwatch skins.
Yeah.
Go use them on the
Halloween
loot boxes.
Events. Go get that pumpkin reaper.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. It's wonderful stuff. Speaking of wonderful stuff, the Xbox wireless headset launched this week as well. We obviously spoke about this a few weeks back, but the launch has finally come. And it's been pretty positive overall. To give you a quick summary, if you haven't had a chance to listen to all the reviews as the listener, the reviews generally the consensus seems to be that it's for the price, really good, nice feature set. The sound is about average, about what you'd expect from the price, with it being quite a bassy headset, not in a good way. But there is an equalizer that you can mess around with in the Xbox settings to try and sort of mitigate that. So overall, really good package for the price. Better ones out there if you're into good sound, but the feature set is kind of unparalleled for the price.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it was jam packed with features and really cool stuff that my headset doesn't even have. Some of it, and I've got like a like a 200+ pound Astro.
You got a Ferrari headset.
Yeah, I've got the Astro A50s. I want to say I got the box back here. Astro A50s, yeah. So, which are great, and I've been looking to actually get the Xbox wireless headset just to have something different around my ears. I don't know. I'm kind of getting tired of just wearing the same headset. But Plus, they've never quite felt like the HyperX clouds that I had, which are just
So soft.
comfort personified. It's everything. They're so comfortable. But
They do have a higher end model now at the HyperX.
do they?
They do have a high. They do, yeah. I think it is up there with some of the better ones, like I know
Wireless?
the Lucid. I think they are, yeah.
Okay.
Steel
Might look
Series
into
is another contender. There's like 4 or 5 like upper end contenders. What are yours, Astros again?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Astros, there's the Steel Series 9X. Lucid Sound have a 35X, which is a slightly older model, but now they have the 50X. And there's one more I'm forgetting as well. But yeah, behind the Hypercloud ones. I can't remember the name exactly, but yeah, they do. Probably worth looking into.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
So you're still trying to get one, aren't you? One of these Xbox headsets?
Yeah, I've been looking everywhere to try and pre-order one. Well, not pre-order anymore. They're officially out. But
Post-order.
Post-order, yeah. But yeah, I've been trying to get my hands on one for the launch, and I think the best I could find was, I think it might have been very.co.uk, that was like, if you pre-order, you could get it for like the 16th of April or something. But I was just like, I don't know. I feel like Amazon in game and stuff will probably have some before the 16th of April, and I didn't really want
sure they will
commit. But yeah, no, it definitely looks quite cool, the headset, and I wouldn't mind grabbing one. And yeah, it's not exactly breaking the bank. I mean, I understand that 80-90 pounds is quite a lot for some people.
It's still like a mid-range price though, isn't it? Like it's a budget
it's not super cheap
price for a premium headset.
Yeah, exactly. It's very middle market sort of pricing, but for what it offers you, it seems great value. And it looks cool as well. It looks sleek. It looks nice. Yeah, I'm still trying to get one. So when I do, again, you're gonna get so many first-hand reviews.
Review kid,
it's insane.
Yeah.
That's
we're
the
all
Undertale
excited.
review, the Evil Within series review, the headset review. I mean, why are you even here? This is my podcast.
Yeah. It'll be the Tim Resume podcast.
Yeah. Oh god. But yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, sweet.
Goes.
I am. Yeah, I mean, I really like the dual Bluetooth. My headset doesn't have the dual Bluetooth on it. I want a headset that can do that, and I'll be looking into that, like a new headset, probably over the next year, for something that can do that. But yeah, it looks really good. Like, the reviews have come in mostly good. Like I said, I think there's maybe a bit of disappointment on like the sound side, but a lot of people, those same people, have said, like, if you're not someone who's big into sound, it's still good. You're not going to notice.
Yeah.
But you can find headsets for, the same price without the feature set that do a better job with the audio, but it's fully wireless. It has a great feature set, so it's just one of those things you'll have to weigh up. And because I think like last gen, it's weird saying that, last gen for the Xbox One, they did the stereo headset, didn't they? Do you remember that you plugged into the and it got got mixed reviews. But that was like a budget headset, like that was like 40 quid over where we are, wasn't it? 40 50 quid. So
it was. It was that one wasn't great, and this one will be quite interesting to say, because especially as you talk about the sound not being great, as someone I'm not that well tuned to sound in that sort of sense. I don't know that much about it, but I do have like a really sick pair of headsets, so it'd be quite interesting to get this mid-range one and see if I actually notice a difference, not knowing much about sound anyway. Or if someone who knows enough, can still give a decent sort of review on it. But yeah, it'll be quite interesting. But
watching reviews of like headset guys and audio guys is the most like mind-bending thing. I don't know if you've ever tried to do it. Like, they're just in another world.
Yeah,
it's amazing the language they use. Like, I can't follow it. It's like they're speaking Klingon. Like, I don't know what they're on about. But I'm like, it sounds good though.
Yeah, it has colors.
Yeah, exactly. Like, every now and then they're like, the head strap, the strap on the top of the head is actually really nice fabric. I'm like, I know what fabric is.
You pause it. I know that.
I know what a head is. Yeah, yeah, it's like that. So, and I think as well they wanted to probably compete with because PlayStation put out their own headset. I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago. Do you know what ones I'm talking about? They were called like Sony Gold headset or something like that. They're supposedly pretty good.
Mm,
So I imagine they just wanted their own sort of, again, mid-range sort of competitor, which is
yeah, yeah.
hard
It
to
looks like
complain
they
about.
kind of nailed it. So
Yeah, looks really nice.
yeah.
Wicked. So there was something else. There was there's a dashboard update coming soon. I think it's out for one of the rings for the insiders that are testing the user interface, which is a feature to suspend games. And now this is so we're speaking about quick resume here, and the so the idea is that you can suspend a game that's currently like held in the cache to speed up download speeds. Because obviously when there's games running in the cache and with quick resume, they're still playing and that's slowing down download speeds, which is something that wouldn't happen on previous consoles because games wouldn't be held in the background for quick resume. So they're designing a way to just sort of like go to your games and apps, hit suspend. They showed it off on the blog, and the your download speed pings back up. How is your experience with quick resume overall? And do you think this is a good addition?
What quick resume sort of as it is right now.
How is
Um,
that so it's right now? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, the sort of games we're playing right now, it's kind of pointless anyway. Um, especially like when you play like multiplayer centric games, you kind of need to re-log on to the servers anyway. So even if the game quick resumes, like Apex, for example, you fly straight in, but then it will just boot you out, and then you just have to log in from the menu again. So you cut out a bit of boot time, like overall. But games where I noticed it and it was insane, where it was like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, was just ridiculous. Like there were some times I genuinely forgot I was playing that game. It was like 2 days had passed. I was on a fatty Netflix binge. And then,
Yeah.
like 48 hours later, I click on Assassin's Creed. It's like, oh, I'm in, I'm fighting.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
Jesus. Like it was just, but yeah, it was. Sometimes it actually caught me off guard, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, overall, yeah, my
Is it working
experience
for
with it's
Evil
been
Within
good.
at the moment?
No. Every time I booted
It's
up
not.
Evil Within, I've had to do it from scratch again.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a quick resume on it. It'd be quite
Oh,
interesting to
that's really
test that
weird.
actually. Maybe I just instinctively close the game, like where you press like the start button on it and then go down and quit. Maybe I did that instinctively before going onto like Netflix or something. But
Yeah.
it'd be quite
I
interesting
mean,
to test that actually. Yeah.
I haven't had a game like it was a bit rocky in the first like couple of months after launch where it would like sometimes not work, but I know they've done a couple of patches to it to try and make it a bit more stable, a bit more consistent, and since then I've never had a problem. Like when I'm playing Fallout 4 at the moment, obviously like I'm going between Apex with you, and then when I go back to Fallout, it's just ready to go.
Yeah.
I think like
Okay.
every now and again, maybe like one in every 20, like 20 open, like when I try to launch it, it will like just not be open anymore, and I'll be like, what the fuck? But that's literally just because I've grown used to it. And, it's so funny how quickly you become accustomed to things, and then you're like pissed off when it's not like
Yeah.
that.
God damn it.
I'm like, oh, I have to sit. I was sitting for 10 seconds. Like, like
Yeah.
attention deficit disorder kicking in. I like can't do it. So, but other than that, I found it's been really, really good.
Oh, it's a
I
fantastic
think
feature. I love it. Yeah.
it's an amazing feature. I think this is something that I think a couple of communities have picked up on, and some of the team that are working on it have actually like spoken about with some of the communities about like being able to see what games are being held, um, because that way you don't like click off it or like you just know what's there so that you don't open too many games, because
Oh, I
it
see
can
what you
only
mean.
hold like between 4 and 6 depending on what the game
Yeah.
is, and eventually it will start closing the back one. So like I don't know if they're doing anything about it, but they I know they've mentioned it on like Reddit and some other forums that
What, just like a nice
it's
little
some
UI change to give you like a square up in the top right corner or something that you
exactly
could
like
just
maybe just
see
where your
that.
pins are.
Yeah, you could just see the evil within or something like that. Or Fallout 4 is yeah, still there.
So
Yeah,
and
that's
yeah, and
that's a
also you
really
can
good
know
idea.
something's not working. Yeah, because sometimes there are times where it's like if you've only got a little bit of time to play, you want to quick resume straight into it and play. But if it's not ready to go on quick resume, it's as ridiculous as it sounds. It's like actually I won't bother. Like there are some times where I'm like waiting for you to come online, for example, and I'm like I'll boot up. Fallout 4 for 10 minutes or whatever.
Mm.
But if it's not being quick resumed, if something's happened and it's that 1 in 20 launch where it isn't for some
Yeah.
reason, I'm not going to boot that up. So that information would actually be very helpful, and hopefully they do iron out those creases so that doesn't happen. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it would be useful to see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just having a simple UI change, yeah, to just see what's currently there and what's currently running and could be quick resume would be amazing. Yeah, yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we've got a Age of Empires event coming on April the 10th. They've teased some Age of Empires 4 news there. They're going to be talking about Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. I think they did Age of Empires 1 Definitive Edition. I can't remember. I know they're talking about some Definitive Editions, and they're doing a little bit more, showing a bit more off for Age of Empires 4, which is obviously the next game in the highly anticipated Age of Empires series.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it will come to. There's no news on it coming to Xbox yet or not. I'm going to be pretty pissed off if it doesn't. I really want it. I don't want them to get into this trend of like making games for PC and then bringing them to Xbox like afterwards, like Gears Tactics obviously being the case, Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
And I know it's early days for them in getting their first party games to PC, but I just hope that doesn't become the pattern. I think they, if they want parity across the platforms, like you release all Xbox games on PC day one. It shouldn't be happening the other way around. You just make your customers feel a bit, well, like me, like it just makes you feel a bit like a second class citizen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Have you got any interest in Age of Empires?
I used to play some of the older ones on PC, the old family shared PC, and in the playroom, fighting.
Oh yeah.
Fighting my brothers off for it. But yeah, I haven't played one in a long, long time, and I don't think I quite appreciated it when I was a bit younger. But yeah, I mean, I have fond memories of it. I don't think I'm in any like immediate rush to boot up Age of Empires 4. I wouldn't really say it's on my list to look out for, but I think I'd give it a go for sure. I'm sure it'll be
You'd give it a go on Game Pass.
Quite a lot of fun, yeah. If I have to go in there and click A, and geez, it's so much effort these days having to play these free games that just come onto a convenient
So what you're saying
platform.
is you're going to write a review for us?
No. See, this is why I'm dancing around the topic, because I'm getting buried in work at the moment.
You heard it here first. Review number 4.
No, Age of Empires is probably a massive game as well. Please.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, there's something about it. I am kind of I've never owned an Age of Empires, but I've like played it with other people when I've been like around their house when I was a kid and everything. I've always been fascinated by it, and it's one of those games that I'm like, I probably wouldn't put a huge amount of time in it, but I'm kind of like I'm really interested in trying it. If they're able to make a decent Xbox port, because I don't have a PC, I have a Mac, and that's never going to happen anyway. But
no.
I'd love to give it a go. I can see the appeal, and I think it's one of those things that you kind of just can play for an hour. It's and then pop it down, and anyway, I don't know. I do have a bit of like latent excitement about Age of Empires. I don't really know why.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I would say I'm kind of the same. Like I know it's there and it's coming up, and there's quite a lot of sort of hype around it, but I'm not particularly interested personally. Like it's okay. But yeah, for sure, I would definitely give it a go.
Yeah, cool. We've got EA Play is finally coming to PC, or rather, it came to PC this week for Xbox Game Pass members. It had come just to console Games Pass, and when it came, whenever it was, like last month, so it's come to PC as well. After I just made the point of that not happening, of stuff going to PC after Xbox. So this is one of those rare occasions where it has happened, but it's with a subscription service rather than a game. But it's nice that now everybody on PC gets that as well, because a lot of EA games are good. I mean, they're all solid. There's nothing wrong there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I think the sort of Battlefield games, if I'm not mistaken, are quite popular on PC. I feel like they have quite a large following on PC. Yeah. And I know that I think Battlefront 2 will appeal to quite a lot of people on PC. So plus the game would look amazing running it on like a high-end PC and being played on a high-end PC. Yeah, there are some great titles in there for sure. Is Battlefield 5 in there? Can't remember.
I have no idea.
One. I don't think it is for some reason, but yeah, no, for sure. It's cool.
I haven't paid attention to the Battlefield in bloody ages. What is Battlefield 5? Is it another modern one?
Yeah, no.
Did they bring it back to modern? No. No.
Battlefield 5 was the one with
I know it's like World War II, wasn't it?
Yeah, but then they
remember.
It was like it was like a not historically accurate World War II because there were like loads of it was very female centric and stuff like that. I remember there being quite a lot of gender things and people were like, women weren't in that war, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to go.
It's a video game.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't want to. This is a bit weird, guys. You should be saying this, but yeah.
That one.
So
yeah.
I think it was.
I'm pretty sure it's
one.
World War II. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. It was Battlefield V, wasn't it? So I remember that the logo's popped into my head now.
Yeah, I think the last one we played was 1, wasn't it? The really old school
Maybe.
one. Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really have much interest in Battlefield. I don't really know why. I don't know.
There are just better FPSs out there, to be honest. But it's better than COD. I'll give it that. But yeah.
Topical. Okay. ZeniMax Online Studios, the maker of your favourite game, Elder Scrolls Online.
I like Elder Scrolls Online. I don't know why this is like a meme.
I don't want to hear it.
It's fine. It's just it just gets stale quick. The trailers, you're like, oh my god, let's go! And then you get on the game and you're like hitting something with a stick. It's just not quite the same. But yeah, anyway, carry on.
To be fair, I did boot it up the other day just because I was like kind of feeling it. Because I think something new did get announced the other day and I was exactly the same. I was like, I'm fucking hyped, dude. This is going to be it. I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to bury so many hours into Elder Scrolls Online. And I booted it up. And I was just a dumb Khajiit with a fucking wooden staff.
And everything's brown.
2 spiders killed me. And I closed the game.
Exactly. Yeah. It's fine. And like when we did the dungeons, I enjoyed it and stuff. But at the same time, I don't know. It got very old very quick. The gameplay was quite repetitive for me.
Also, it was 30 frames when I went back to it. So.
Really?
Yeah, they've said there's an update coming, but it hasn't come yet. That was part of the reason why I booted it back up. Anyway, what I was saying was before you.
It was you.
Made me go on a tangent.
You struck me while I was down.
Yeah, they've opened another studio in Wisconsin, ZeniMax Online Studios. So obviously, all of Xbox's studios, including Bethesda, they're all getting the big Microsoft money. So they're all upsizing. You know, that's part of the thing about they've got a lot of studios, but those studios have more than one team. ZeniMax Online has 2 already. This is their 3rd, and we know that one of the teams is spinning up a new online multiplayer game. So I don't know what this 3rd team is or what it's going to be doing.
Okay.
But just interesting to point out, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. Good studio.
In other news, achievements are back in the Xbox app. Do you use the Xbox app very much? Did you know achievements were missing from the Xbox app?
No, I did not know achievements were missing from the Xbox app. I put it up to maybe check who's online, and that's about it.
To spy on me.
To spy on you. Maybe, I think I have set a download from there once or twice, which is pretty cool. But, yeah, no, I did not know achievements was missing. Yeah.
I wouldn't have known, but I did, just by coincidence, the other, week, I booted it up. I don't even know what I was looking at. I think it's because it's on the quests, on the Games Pass quests that you can do to get Microsoft rewards and stuff. I needed to get an achievement, and I wasn't at my Xbox, so I just wanted to have a quick look. Is there an achievement I'm really close to doing that I can just hop on before the day ends and then just do it? And I was going through it for ages. I was like, where the fuck are achievements? They can't not be achievements in here. It drove me mad. And so as it turns out, yeah, they had taken them off. They were to begin with, and that's what made me feel mad because they did used to be there.
Yeah,
And they took it away. But now they're back. Yeah, for some reason they thought they didn't need them there, but now they're back. So good job, everyone. We we did a long.
We could look at our
something. Yeah,
achievements on the go. It's amazing.
Yeah, so which is something we always want to do. I always want to just, at the bar, 100% Dark Souls 2. Have a look.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, coming home with me.
Shall I, like,
you'll pay some
taxi or yeah?
It is that's
12 out of 12 on Apex Legends.
That's next gen. Nah, that is really. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, it is.
That's where amazing. It's at.
Achievements are back. Woohoo! Fantastic. So, I guess kind of, and this is something that's funny that's happened sort of. Well, I mean, I guess you can tell me what you think, but you know, PlayStation started up this this play at home program when COVID started. I think I want to say like April last year. April, maybe a bit later, maybe May or June. And that was supposed to be coming to an end March this year. So, you know, it was essentially just, they were just giving away free games. Lovely, lovely little initiative. And in the extension, you know, they've added these lists of games that we've got here. Abzu, Enter the Gungeon, Res Infinite, Subnautica, The Witness, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Moss, Thumper, Paper Beast, and Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition as well, which is obviously really, really nice.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Does that look at all familiar to you? A list of free games that you get with a subscription?
It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't ring any bells.
No.
I don't know, but it's some kind of, I don't know how you call it. Some kind of like pass for games.
Yeah.
I'm not really, but worse. But worse. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear they've just copy pasted, and they're going for a very similar. But I mean, I don't know what Moss, Thumper, or Paper Beast are, so I'm not feeling too threatened right now. But right,
they sound good. I'd play Paper Beast. I'd play the fuck out of Moss.
I'd play Subnautica, and I'd play Enter the Gungeon, and I'd probably play Horizon. That's it. But yeah, cool.
It's a nice little thing, and I just thought it was interesting because I think that. I mean, of course, this isn't like. I don't know if you actually get these, like if you have to have PS Plus to get them, or if you actually get them for free. I don't know, but there has been like a marked effort from Sony to like provide more on some of their services, and you know, a lot of people will view that as like a direct competition to Games Pass. And I know it's not; they don't have it in a consolidated way, so they're just doing it in dribs and drabs. Like their PS Plus games for the last few months have been fucking very, very good. And now they've extended, you know, the Play at Home program, and also on the launch of PS5, it was called like the PlayStation Collection or something, wasn't it? Do you remember that? And like you could play a bunch of games that were on PS4 for free.
Yeah, I think I do remember
including,
something like
that. I think Horizon was one of them. I want to say Spider-Man was maybe one of them. Maybe it wasn't. Days Gone was. I can't remember the whole list, but Monster Hunter was as well. But anyway, there has been like I think a clear marked effort to try and like provide some competition to Games Pass, which is kind of everyone wins kind of situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They can thank Microsoft for that one. Them getting all this free stuff now.
Absolutely. It'll be nice to see it'll be interesting to see if they keep going with that and where that goes sort of, you know, this time next year, the next few years.
Yeah, definitely.
There was a Dying Light 2 reveal, a Dying Light 2 video. I don't really know what to call it because it was just a bit weird. Did you see it?
I did, yeah.
Did you think it was a bit weird?
I did, yeah. It was a bit odd. It was just like we're still here.
Half the
Like,
video was like angry tweets, and like that was it. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I don't know.
it was a bit weird. It was kind of just like, um, save save that 60 quid that's burning a hole in your pocket because we're still here at some point
Yeah,
in the future.
I,
Um,
I guess maybe they saw like a bit of like negative PR beginning to swirl online, and they were like, oh, actually, maybe we should just like these rumors are getting a bit out of control of the game being dead
yeah,
and things like that.
exactly.
Um,
I think maybe the silence just had to be broken. It just got
yeah,
a little bit out of hand, which is fair enough because they were dead to the world for a very long time. Um,
yeah,
but yeah,
and they did
I
show a little
mean,
bit more gameplay,
yeah, yeah,
which looked good.
looked right. Yeah, looked
Yeah,
pretty good. I can't, it's good. It's good to know they're still, alive and kicking, and the game's on its way, and this year as
yeah.
well. They're
That's
still
the
sticking
weird
to their
thing.
guns for this year.
Yeah, because they're like, yeah, we're not going to give you a release date, but it is still this year, and it's like,
Yeah,
well, we're in
we're kind of
April. We're coming
running
up to
out of
April.
months, bro.
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah, it'll be
So
very, very late, won't it? It'll be like, I mean, maybe they'll go for like a Halloween sort of release.
maybe, yeah, it
So
wouldn't
it's pretty
surprise
late
me,
in the
but
year, and it
yeah,
is a zombie sort of horror game. But
they'll be wanting to dodge November because of a lot of big hitters always come out in November, but Halo is meant to be coming out in November. Um,
hmm,
so I mean, we'll
yeah,
see, but it was just a bit of an odd video. But I'm glad the game is still in development because I mean, I am really looking forward to Dying Light 2. The gameplay looks really good.
yeah, for sure. And the first game was incredible. I loved the
Yeah,
first game.
yeah.
Really blew my expectations out of the water. I kind of went in not expecting much with the with Dying Light, and it was fantastic.
In some poetic way, Dying Light 1 is less dead than Dying Light 2 at the moment.
Yeah, it's actually quite thriving, isn't it? It's in a really
Yeah,
good place. Has been
it
for
is. Yeah.
ages. It's had some very good post game support. Um, yeah, no, yeah. Dying Light 2 is more alive than Dying
Still
Light.
kicking.
No, Dying Light 1
Yeah.
is more alive than Dying Light 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in a big win for the Quick Resume podcast, there was, in fact, an Xbox event scheduled for March 26th, which is exactly what we said last week. I mean, I literally just go on the internet. I spend a lot of time reading stuff, but
You
we
do?
said it, and we said the right thing. So
Yeah. So I don't
you're
know
welcome.
why we don't have 100,000 subs. That's really where I'm confused.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Smash that subscribe button.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
or we'll stop leaking
Yeah, stop
information.
leaking what other people have already leaked. We're just
Yeah.
kind of like the bucket under the leak.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
The quick resume
that's us.
bucket, the leak bucket. But it looks to be like we did say when we spoke about this. We did say it wasn't going to be a big games conference. We just said it was going to be supposedly it was going to be a quote unquote future of gaming event. This wasn't that apparently. This is something else, according to a few people in the Twitter sphere. But it's going to be an indie showcase, including a couple of games that are fairly high profile, like The Ascent, which is kind of that Diablo-esque twin stick shooter cyberpunk thing that they showed off last May, and they've been dead silent ever since. Second Extinction, which is the four-player co-op
Ooh, that looks
dinosaur
fun.
looking
Yeah.
ass one. Stalker 2 is another one. This is just off the top of my head. Stalker 2 is another one which they're going to show a bit more of, which is kind of that follow up to the cult classic Stalker. Um, and there is something else, I believe. But overall, it looks like it'll be pretty cool. But they've prefaced it by saying it's an indie showcase, so don't get your hopes up for anything too big. I think it's just a bit of fun for the indie team to sort of show off what's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's cool. Um, yeah, no, I like all the ID at Xbox stuff. I remember when it was like first brought in, it was really cool. They always make like really hype like trailers and shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the
And
sizzle reels. They always do really good
yeah,
sizzle
yeah.
reels.
Um, and yeah, I'm a huge fan of some indie games and stuff like that. Some of them are some of my most played of last year and this year and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty hyped
Yeah.
to see what's coming up for that. Definitely. probably be tuning
Absolutely.
in.
I think it'll be a nice sort of an aperitif before summer, before Xbox's E3 event. You know, a little taste.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Just get us warmed
nice
up.
warm up.
Yeah.
Nice warm up. And I guess as our final 2 points for the day, one of them I just wanted to skim over because I literally added it to the notes when we took our little quick break in the middle of the show earlier. Gotham Knights got delayed to 2022 from Warner Bros. I don't know the exact developer actually, but that's the two or three player co-op one, you know, featuring the different DC Superboys and Supergirls.
Yeah.
Which I personally think looks really great, but I know a lot of the internet has a real big hate boner for a lot of these co-op multiplayer games. So a lot of people are quite happy about this.
Yeah, I remember when the trailer came out. Yeah, the trailer came out. They got fucking skinned alive. It's just like, these guys have put a lot of work into this. It actually looks quite good. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. We can have a universe, guys, where single player DC games exist and multiplayer DC games. Like that,
No.
It's not mutually exclusive. Think of it as a multiverse. you might get it that way.
Yeah. No, it's a shame to see it. But you know, if it got delayed for reasons it needed to be at the state they wanted it to be for launch, then so be it. You know, it's one of those things.
Yeah, COVID do be COVID-ing.
Exactly.
Right, and I'm moving on to our final bit for the day. There's been a lot of chitter and a lot of chatter, particularly after the Square Enix event that we just had earlier in the week. After the Avengers got shown, I think they dropped a update around like performance mode, resolution modes, and all of that. There's been a lot of difficulty. So, because to play it on the better mode, or rather, should I say, like next gen optimized? They've made next gen optimized versions, and this is we spoke about smart delivery a few weeks ago, but there's been huge amounts of confusion from a lot of PlayStation players about how the fuck you get the PlayStation 5 game. A lot of people have deleted their saves by accident because of the process is just really not straightforward. And I think, you know, this is obviously running in parallel to Xbox's smart delivery, which I think, you know, initially a lot of people thought it was a bit of a gimmick or a buzzword, but it turns out actually it's saving save files. You know,
yeah.
So it's kind of a big deal.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a game like Marvelous, the Avengers as well. It's like a proper like, Jesus. If you had your save game deleted on that and you play that quite a lot, like it's a proper like loot grinding game and stuff like that. Like you could have lost a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it is upsetting to think.
Is it not retrievable in any way, or is none of that sort of being disclosed?
I don't know. I imagine there's probably a way to contact, you know, the Avengers team and see if there's anything that like if they can get a backup or whatever. But
I'm sure there's a cloud backup somewhere.
But just to read to the listener, just to read what the Twitter has advised to do when they've so like Jeff Keighley even messaged them jokingly. Jeff Keighley, the guy who hosts the video game awards every year. Because it's kind of a bit confusing, and so this is how the Twitter responded. They said how to migrate your save from PS4 to PS5. Launch the fully patched PS4 version and go to the Save Migration tab on the main menu to initiate the upload. Once the migration is done, launch the PS5 version where you'll be prompted to download the data. Even if you have the PS4 and PS5 version of the game on the same console, save migration is necessary to boot the save on the PS5 version. You'll need to download the latest update from the PS4 version so you can download the PS5 version. If you're running the version of the PS4 game that has not been updated, you won't see the Save Migration tab and won't be able to transfer save data. Like, Jesus Christ. I just want to play on PS5. I just want to play Avengers on PS5.
Jesus Christ.
So, like, there are some instances where people are, like, going to transfer the data and then they have to delete the PS4 version for the PS4, for the PS5. Even I'm getting fucking confused. For the PS5 to pick up on, like we're playing this on the PS5 now, not in backwards compatibility mode. And then before the migration's complete, so the save data doesn't transfer over and gets lost in the gamer realm.
That's so stupid. That tweet's stupid.
Isn't it?
That is so convoluted. What is that?
It's
I like,
horrible.
oh my God, man. It's like, it's easy, guys. It's easy. Just follow this guide, this essay I've just wrote, my dissertation on how to migrate your PS4 file to
Yeah, exactly.
PS5. My
So
goodness. Well, after reading that, I'm so grateful for smart delivery. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
they need to get something. They need to get smart delivery in place or something, some equivalent. I mean, because this has led to a couple of journalists like taking to Twitter and saying that someone needs to make like an equivalent of the PS4, that this is how you share games video back in the day,
Yeah.
when Xbox famously announced that you couldn't share physical games. And a couple of people have already stitched something together, but I think it's and it's not as bad, or as, because Sony will patch this, but I mean, it's something they won't be able to do immediately. I imagine we'll see in the next 6 months, but it's still just painful. It's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it sucks. My condolences to anyone who
Yeah,
lost
no.
their Avengers so far.
Yeah, anyone who lost Mignonia, I'm really sorry.
God.
Hopefully, you can get it back
Yeah.
if you're pure. No, what is it? What do you have to be to
Worthy.
hold Mignonia? If you're
Just
worthy, that's
worthy.
it. If you're
Yeah.
pure.
That's what their support team, the Avengers, said. It's like, are you worthy for your save game file? I don't know.
Then hold your hand out. It will come back to you. Christ. Well,
That's good.
that sort of summarizes everything from the episode today. Thanks for sticking with us all the way through. Tim, do you have anything to add before we wrap up? As I'm aware, I've kind of just jumped down your throat saying it's the end of the episode, though.
Yeah, I didn't know it was the end.
It's the end, mate.
Yeah,
All
it's
gone.
the end. No, I mean, no, nothing from me. To be honest, that's yeah.
Sweet, good
Nothing
input.
from me.
All right.
End of the episode. What was I supposed to say? I don't understand.
Like a goodbye or something?
Yeah, goodbye.
Made
Yeah,
it weird now.
no,
All right.
I'm not making it weird. No, it's always been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you, and it's been a good episode. We've talked about some pretty great stuff. So
Yeah, it's been a busy week, man.
yeah, it has. Yeah. I mean, yeah, probably the highlight for me, for the week of news. Maybe we should do like a personal highlight of the week for us.
Sorry, don't get
You
carried
know,
away.
it's just
It's a
pretty
lovely
good.
idea.
Yeah, is definitely the Outriders coming to Games Pass. That was cool.
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the event on the 26th. Always excited to see what's coming next, and there's games like Second Extension, which I'm really buzzing to see.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no.
Well, there you go.
That's it from me.
That's our ending. Thanks, guys. Pleasure as always. This has been Quick Resume signing off.
Yeah.